So buckle up, grab your mugs, and let's get brewing. And let's dive into our deep brews for this week. On the flip side though, Indian state orders life imprisonment.
This means a tighter control over migration, especially high-skilled migration.
Where's the balance? Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Chai and Espresso, the podcast where we mix hot news with hotter takes.
Yes, chai for the depth, espresso for the punch. We are gonna go through the biggest headline of the week, a deep brew on migration and Trump new visa policies, and always the funniest headlines of the week.
So buckle up, grab your mugs, and let's get brewing.
Alright, let's start with the top 5 headlines that are making noise this week. Jimmy Kimmel's show to return after suspension over Charlie Kirk comments.
UK and France recognize state of Palestine to keep alive the possibility of peace.
British couple reunited with daughter after months held by Taliban.
Formula One driver Carlos Sainz wins his first podium with Williams Racing in Azerbaijan. This is Williams' first full race podium after 2017.
And flight delays continue across Europe after weekend cyber attack.
But now let's slow things down a bit.
Savannah, slow down.
And let's dive into our deep brews for this week. First up, we have Europe's migration crisis.
So, remember Merkel's famous line back in 2015, "We can do it"? That set the tone for an open-door policies on refugees. Fast forward to now, and the tone has completely changed.
To start with some figures and numbers, as of mid-2024, nearly 87 million international migrants lived in Europe. That includes people who are born outside and inside the European countries who have moved between them.
Yes, and in 2023, the European Union saw about 4.3 million people immigrate from non-European countries.
And UK's case is very interesting, especially for
is.
people like us who are international students.
Yes.
Net migration there fell from a peak after Brexit in 2024. It was around 431,000. That's a lot, from 860,000 earlier. And yet it's still much higher than the typical levels in 2010s.
Yeah, but the things to ask is, what is driving this shift? There's multiple causes. First of all, politics. More pressure on governments to show control, respond to public concerns, housing, services, security. And then the policy changes. For example, new European rules are coming, like the new Pact on Migration and Asylum, and that aims to share responsibility among member states to, distribute people in different states accordingly. And then the risk and the safety, so more irregular sea arrivals, more deaths or missing people, and like the sea routes to Europe and all the risk that concern that to cross. It's very dangerous, but still, this is driving the shift.
On the flip side, though, there are arguments in favor of more openness. Firstly, with the demographics, Europe is aging, birth rates are very low here, and migration can help counter the population decline and support labor market. And the EU's population hit a record of 450.4 million in 2024. But that increase came solely from net migrations because the number of deaths outpaced the births, which is according to a report from Reuters. And then the other fact is, which is a very obvious one, is the economic contributions. Migrants fill jobs in care, health, tech, service sectors. And there are also legal and moral obligations like international laws and human rights treaties that require asylum and protection of these refugees.
So the question is, how much migration can be accommodated without overstretching services, and what are the social, economic, and political costs versus the benefit of it?
So the question here is, where's the balance? The security, the culture, resources on one side, and then compassion and international responsibility on the other.
Let's move to the US though. So, where the H-1B visa is creating so much debate and so much controversies. But here's how it started. As of September 21st, 2025, new H-1B visa petition filed from outside the US must include a 100,000 one-time fee. This affects the new applicants, not current holders or those renewing. The fee doesn't apply to existing H-1B visa holders, and it doesn't apply to those people who won the lottery in 2025. But further applicants from 2026 onwards will face the restrictions.
So people are obviously reacting to it, especially the Indian IT industry, which accounts to approximately 70% of H-1B visa holders. So this means that a large share of those impacted are coming from India, and some firms are already investing in upskilling US-based employees to reduce dependence. And stock markets in India who also have a share of major IT firms fell after the announcement, and economists are warning the policy might reduce innovation, slow growth in tech sectors, and could also reduce foreign exchange for remittance since fewer people might move or travel.
It is meant to encourage employers to hire more domestic talent, so raise as well wage levels for foreign workers so they aren't undercutting locals. This means a tighter control over migration, especially high-skilled migration, under the idea of merit, economic benefits, national interest. But this could also make the US less attractive for international talents. Some smaller companies may struggle with the cost.
So obviously it's a big move, it's a big amount, it's a big change. So with all big changes comes big uncertainty, and there's some confusion about how new application is defined, the processing rights, the travel for visa holders, etc. And also it might slow down projects that rely on foreign tech and science because of the talent and increasing project costs.
Yeah. So I would say, like, putting both of these two stories together, migration policy in Europe and the US H-1B visa changes, we see similar tensions. How do countries manage migration in ways that are fair, sustainable, secure, economically beneficial, and humane? What's your take on that?
Okay, enough.
Right! That's it! I have had enough! Enough! You get out!
Here's where it gets fun, and these are the funniest 5 headlines we found for this week. Indian state orders life imprisonment for stray dogs who bite humans twice. The first offense will be implementing fines on the dogs.
Oh well. American tourist nearly arrested after misunderstanding common British phrase. The phrase was on the first floor to the right. That's what the landlord texted him because he got an Airbnb. And he thought American typically call the floor level with the ground the first floor, whereas the British call it the ground floor. So basically, he was breaking into a different house and almost getting arrested.
So that's the difference between American and British English.
Yeah, and there's a lot of difference. Do you know more? Type it in the comments.
Next up, Coca-Cola fans are only just noticing the hidden message in their iconic logo. So apparently the following tail of the C is believed to symbolize a smile, emphasizing the brand's focus on happiness and joy. And this adds as a subtle message that may go unnoticed by people, but it subconsciously creates a positive association with the brands in the midst of consumers. Have you ever noticed that?
Honestly, I don't see the smile. But it might be a me thing. I don't see that little tail on the C. I don't think he smiles, but I mean, it's a nice positive message.
Yeah,
right?
it's a good take, and it's very subtle. So yeah, it's a nice take.
We're coming into the Halloween season, and grocery stores have the weirdest and cutest little Halloween pastries, and NMS is selling new Halloween crisps, but some shopper point out revolting detail. So basically, they say that they look like worms. So like there's this type of candy. We'll put a picture here that it looks like a worm, basically. So people that find it very disgusting and are not buying it anymore.
I kind of like holiday treats. They have a
Me as well,
sense
but
of-
then if it looks like a worm, I would rather eat those little pumpkins or
Oh,
ghosts or
yes.
like they're like so
They're
cute.
especially with like the marshmallows,
Yes,
ghost
yes.
shaped. So cute. So, adding to girl power, this is one of my favorite headlines. Texas family is expecting a baby girl after 108 years of only boys in the family, which is a monumental thing, according to the grandfather, Michael Sermon Sr. And he said that he's had 3 boys, his dad had 2 boys, his brother had 2 boys. It was just boys, boys, boys. So finally they're getting a girl in the family.
Which is crazy. Like imagine how the power of genetics.
Yes, and imagine the pampering the baby girl is gonna get now.
So
And
when you get married and you plan on having babies, first see the genetics of the family. and then make the decision if you if you want to make babies. But
that's all. Thank you for brewing with us in this setting and daylight, and we love that you're here for episode 3.
And yeah, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Chai and Espresso Pod. Subscribe, share your thoughts in the comment, as always. And
see you next week.
And remember to keep your chai hot,
Your espresso strong, and your
your
takes
takes
even
even
stronger.
stronger.
Bye.
Bye.